with us today. Hey, Mason.
Thank you for having me.
Glad that you're here with us today.
Thank you.
And your teacher, Mr. Lias, right?
Yep.
You had him as your teacher.
Good to have this one here because he's a classic example of what can be done when you really want to change your spirit.
Well,
you
he's
know?
a success story for sure,
Yes, he is.
right? So what got you into Journeys Academy, Mason?
Fighting. I got in altercations with students. Mainly, it would happen inside of school, the altercation, but then actually fighting would happen outside of school. But the reason I was here is because I got caught up in school, I got into an argument, which led to fighting, and then I got sent to Journeys.
Do you remember hearing about Journeys for the first time and the fact that you might be going there and what some of your thoughts were about going into this alternative school?
Yeah, I'd known about Journeys years prior.
How'd you know about it?
Oh, middle school going into high school, there was just rumors always going around. There's been
mess
people
up,
getting
you're going to
fighting. Oh,
Journeys.
you're going to Journeys, or you do this, you're going to Journeys. It was
So
jail
like
school
a
in everyone's
punishment,
head.
right? Jail school, right?
Everyone
and
thought it was
so
jail school.
what did you think when they said, okay, sorry, Mason, you're going to Journeys?
I had the dean say, hey, you are going to be recommended to go to secondary school, is what he said. That's exactly what he said. And I was just like, I just kind of sat there and I did not know what he meant. I don't know what recommended meant, but it basically meant he was sending me there. The school was sending me there. So once I found out I was going to Journeys, it was a bummer, but
Yeah.
you really couldn't do anything besides appeal the school board, and that didn't work. So
Oh, you did try to appeal it?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people that went to Journeys tries to appeal it. with the
Were
school
your
board.
parents in agreeing that you should go there, or were they trying to fight you going there?
My mom agreed to, maybe a long suspension, maybe a little bit of Journeys, because I went there last spring after spring break. So I was there for the remaining of the year. It was like a month and a half, I think, that I was there. And so she's like, maybe finish out there. But
So you were only there a month?
I was she wanted me to be. I was there till December.
Okay. So how many months were you actually at Journeys? A semester?
A semester and a half. Yeah, a semester and a half.
Semester and a half. And you had this guy as your teacher, Mr.
Yeah,
Lias.
for
What
the
is he
second
really like as a teacher?
Tell the
Teacher,
truth.
yeah.
Go ahead.
He's all about love, but he gets on everyone's nerves because he's tough love. He's just like a dad. It's tough love.
Yeah.
A good dad, at least. So.
That's the highest compliment I've been paid today. I get on everyone's nerves.
No, but you're a good guy. You're like a dad to
Yeah,
him.
no, so
I mean,
anyone-
that's so nice.
Like I tell them, I say, there are rules that you're going to have to follow when you get out of here to stay at your old school, to go in the military. The things you guys want to do all require regiment, all require some kind of discipline.
Yeah.
Let's start now.
Yeah.
Well,
why are you okay now, Mason, to go back into public school? Because you're a senior in public school now. Did you learn coping skills? Did you learn how not to fight anymore at Journeys?
Yeah, I learned coping skills probably before I went to Journeys, even before I fought, but it was almost like I ignored them. It was more about being the harder individual, being more than the others. Someone starts arguing with you. The only way that I couldn't argue better, I couldn't diffuse the situation, because I was also people that were also making the situation worse. So I would end up fighting, and when I went to Journeys, it was like very much a community.
Okay.
So everyone was held accountable. So if I was to even get in an argument with someone, you felt bad because everyone's accountable for everything they do. And
Did you ever fight at Journeys?
I didn't even have so much as an argument, really.
Have you had going back to public school? Are you arguing? Do you have anger problems now?
I have when I was younger.
Yeah.
When I was younger, it would just be outbursts. It would just rise up, and I go crazy. I get mad. But mainly it was just anger. I'd get really heated, and you would just sit there and just get furious at anything that happens. I wouldn't do anything physical until I started arguing with people, started getting into altercations, and then fighting them. That was the first thing that was physical, was fighting people like my age. And so
how do you cope now? What diffuses your anger now rather than having a physical fight?
It's so random. It's like it's just kind of joking it off, but not intentionally. I don't do anything intentionally to, you don't get mad, don't fight. It's just kind of, nothing's that serious to.
So
put
you're
myself in
using
that situation.
humor and levity maybe as one of the tools for dealing with
and
anger?
there's just no reason to get that upset unless there's a genuine, self-defense reason to ever put your hands on anyone.
So he sounds like Mr. Lias, Mr. Teacher Lias, like he's one of the lesser problems maybe that you had at Journeys.
Absolutely. He was a kid who, honestly, I immediately was drawn to because of his levity and kind of
His demeanor.
And I knew that kind of demeanor in a classroom or in any kind of organization makes everything easier to deal with. So immediately he became a leader, and he was a go-to guy to get the situation diffused, because I know he followed my lead on being a little bit more relaxed and kind of making folks at ease.
Right.
And that was that. I think in the end, he realized that ability, that gift of gab he has.
Yeah.
Sometimes I ask him to stop, but usually it was a soothing balm. It was what we needed for the moment.
Yeah.
And when I heard he was coming on the show, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
He's
'Cause I
the
got a
perfect
chance
guy.
to see him.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it's a good example to everyone that you can change if you honestly want to, just by using skills you already have. And we talk about self-regulation a lot. Mr. Bevan has us all using restorative practices in class, where if you are put out of my class, the first thing you got to do when you come back is tell me why did you have to leave, and why are you apologizing? Because I asked for an apology too. And that kind of makes folks, have a moment where they, all right, well, yeah, I did do that.
Yeah.
And I did cause a disruption. And that is why I'm here in the first place.
So they're owning it.
Once
right?
they own it, I know that they're okay to come back because they dealt with it.
Yeah.
They had that little cathartic moment.
Journeys is a public school, so it's obviously not a Christian school, but a lot of what you're telling me, Rick, is it sounds very biblical in a lot of the ways you handle kids. The restorative thing, what did you call it?
Restorative practices.
Practices is like what the Bible teaches, and with redemption. God will restore and he will redeem a life like he did with you, Mason. So I see that. Is it ever a struggle for you not to really be able to express your Christian faith because you're in a public setting, but still be able to live like a Christian?
Not really, because a lot of the kids are of Christian faith.
They are?
A lot of kids are, and they're willing to share that. Of course, as I tell them, if you don't believe in God, believe in karma, because I can't force them to believe whatever. We're in America.
Right.
But the reality of what God's message is restorative,
Right.
is love,
Right.
is forgiveness, and all those things should happen. But also there is structure, there is regiment, there is discipline, and those things are necessary to bring a child up.
Yeah.
And my church is right across from Crimmins Academy, where my kid goes to school, and Calvary Temple of Praise. Shout out to Reverend Wright, Paul Wright.
Absolutely. And your child, tell me about your child.
My kid is he's a second semester junior at Crooms.
He's not going to be going to
Academy.
Journeys, right?
Oh no! Yeah, thank God he's doing well.
Good.
And the big issue for me is that he grows up to be like this guy.
Yes.
Yes. He made a mistake to
Absolutely.
get to Journeys.
Right.
He's still a great kid.
But we all make mistakes,
He's
right?
a great kid, a kid that I think a lot of.
Yeah.
And I think of all of them as my children. When they come through my classroom, I'm sure sometimes they don't want to be my child. But I tell them, I said, it's going to be a tough life. I want to make sure that you are equipped to deal with those moments that are not going to be the easiest moments to get through. So when you come through this classroom, I want you guys to be as forward thinking as you can, and get as much information as you can, and just show me this. As long as we're not here, if you're showing me this, I'm thrilled. I don't know where, because we get people at all times of the year and at all levels. So this one comes in and he takes forever to write a narrative essay, and I'm on him every day about it.
Yeah.
And then I get it, and it's one of the best essays I've read as a teacher in 14 years.
Wow. Are you going to be
Just-
doing something with that writing skill that God's given you?
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Did you know you could write?
kind of. My mom's a really good creative writer.
Okay.
She does a lot of that stuff, and my sister is an artist, full-time artist. So, the creativity I knew was there for a narrative essay. Is what you need is creativity. But you're talking about expressing your Christianity in the public school system, and obviously you can't openly, try and express it. But they give us times, especially in the morning, of morning assemblies. We have morning assemblies. We have teachers that do meditations.
Oh,
and what that
good.
is just quiet time to kind of do your own thing. And for me, it'll be praying or taking quiet time for myself to help regulate. And that is where they really kind of let people do their own thing, which could be praying. In Christianity, any religion that the person is. Or taking quiet time to themselves and actually meditating and regulating themselves.
And it's this growth of self-regulation where you pause, and Dr. B, our assistant principal, always says, I'm going to do what I have to do so I can do what I want to do. And I pray, he prays, I'm sure a few other people pray. And I'm praying for serenity. I'm praying to be a positive force in somebody's life. I'm praying to be calm in the middle of the storm. We always say we're soaring above the storm clouds. And that's truly what we're doing, because you could easily take the negative road and get there and decide that you're going to downwardly spiral. But it's hard to do that at our school because we're constantly reminding them that all you got to do is embrace the upward. And if you do, you can soar above those clouds.
And that's why your mascot is eagles, right?
Yep.
To soar like eagles.
Storm.
And you are doing that, Mason Wheeler, and I'm just so proud of you for making that transition and for really acknowledging the Lord in your life for one thing, but also getting your act together. God has great things in store for you. I know that young
I'm proud
man.
of you too, buddy.
Very proud of
Very
you.
proud of you.
And thank you to you as well, Rick Lyson, for Lias, for being here with us today. And
My pleasure.
Great influence that you have with those students and with me today as well, and I'm sure to encourage our viewers. I do want to say one more thing about Principal Kenny Bevan. I want to call him Kevin Bevan, but he's Kenny
That's
Bevan,
an
right?
My mom
Kevin Bevan.
Everybody does that, right? So Kenny Bevan is the principal there, and you guys would not be able to be doing what you're doing without his leadership, so we're so grateful for that. He has two sons. I want us to be able to acknowledge his family and just the wonderful man that he is as well, right?
Yes, and he brings his kids on campus when we have events. And they're wonderful guys.
That's
they're constantly having a ball.
That's great.
And he's a good dad. I would want him to be my dad.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're a father figure to a lot of the guys and girls there at Journeys Academy. If you want more information, viewers, about this incredible school, Journeys Academy, here in Central Florida, you can go to the website that's on your screen for you right now. Again, I am so grateful to God for bringing these gentlemen across our path today and for all the great work they're doing there at Journeys. Stay with us. We've got more coming up.